Hey guys, I'm Ryan from themoviesdeadworld.net, and I thought I would finally do another video review. It's been a while since I did the last one, and it's time. It's time to do another one. I thought I would do Madhouse, which was recently released on Blu-ray thanks to Arrow Video. This is a 1981 slasher film that's kind of similar to Happy Birthday to Me, and it also shares the same name as the Vincent Price horror film from 1974. It also went under a series of names, including There Was a Little Girl and When She Was Bad. But most probably do recognize it as Madhouse. It's kind of easy to see how this 1981 film could be overlooked with such a problematic distribution, and it didn't help that it was unnecessarily labeled a video nasty in its infancy. But its director, Ovidio G. Assanidis' Italian-Georgian pseudo-slasher giallo is a surprisingly fun film despite its often derivative nature. And it's a culmination of styles that often evokes dread through its stylistic cinematography and a likable main character. That main character is Julia, played by Trish Everly in her one and only film role, a teacher at a school for deaf children whose 25th birthday is nearing. However, Julia is not one to celebrate her birthday, because in her childhood she was constantly tormented by her twin sister, who at Madhouse's outset is currently in a hospital and afflicted by a horribly painful disfiguring disease. When Julia visits her sister Mary, who's played by Alison Biggers, in the hospital, Mary vows to make Julia hurt as much as she does, and the main conceit of the film is that Mary really she has always been the most dominant twin, and she really wants to make Julia the same as her, and she finds it unfair that Julia is not in the same predicament that she is. Now, Assanidis' script, which was written under the pseudonym Oliver Hellman, and he also directed it under that pseudonym, it's immediately weird from the outset, despite being grounded in reality. So we got Julia's visit to her ailing sister, and it's insisted on by her uncle father James, who's played by Dennis Robertson. It's a surreal moment, a terrifying sequence aided by well-placed hospital sheets and dark lighting. It's a quick glimpse into the kind of terror Julia's been subjected to all of her life, and there's no indication to the audience that Julia is lying or mentally unstable when she talks about her sister's disturbing behavior. Now, that would have been an easy route to take, considering all of the things that kind of don't really mesh with reality, and how much it seems like Julia may be not telling the truth about this situation. But Assanidis doesn't. He doesn't go that way, and it makes Madhouse a better film because of it. Madhouse gets more complex, introducing an equally disfigured Rottweiler into the mix that begins attacking people Julia cares about, including her star pupil Sasha, who is a deaf child in her school. It's a surprisingly cautious off-screen killing, especially considering the video nasty nature of this film. Assanidis' focus isn't on gruesome killings, though. Some of the dog appearances do have that. There's some maulings that can be particularly bloody, but the emotional toll that they have on Julia is often more important. Everly carries the film with her character, who's a smart and well-grounded woman who realizes something's amiss before anyone else. Madhouse's best work is spent making Julia an endearing character, and there's a particularly compelling scene when Sasha is killed, where Julia and her class share why they liked him. It's a powerful moment that is, for a horror film of this nature, refreshingly humanistic. And in that moment, it's easy to understand the scope of the death surrounding Julia, something that is often missing from generic slasher films. Assanidis' storyline does resemble some of the big slashers in giallo of the time, most prominently Halloween because of its occasional setting. Its killer wears gloves, although this is a blue frilly pair instead of the usual black leather from a giallo film. And atmospherically, Madhouse feels very akin to a Dario Argento or Mario Bava affair. And like I said before, it's also very similar to Happy Birthday to Me once we get to the crux of the film's, the actual ending and the conclusion to it. Very similar to Happy Birthday to Me. While the film never gives its antagonist a satisfying backstory, Assanidis seems to wave that away with a final quotation from George Bernard Shaw about the unsatisfying conclusion of life in the same situation that we find ourselves at the end of Madhouse. It's not necessary to focus on the intricacies of the killer either, besides Mary's true motive, which is just to disfigure her twin sister to make her the same as her, because they have always shared that same twin ability, twin telepathic ability, and it's kind of her goal to make Julia's life just miserable all the time. While Madhouse is primarily a realistic slasher film, it works in a supernatural element, which I mentioned about twin abilities, how both Julia and Mary are able to channel each other in a good and bad way. Sometimes, you know, that can be a good thing, but also sometimes they can, Julia specifically notices some of the things that are off about Mary. Combined with the film's atmospheric setting and apartment complex that was actually filmed in a funeral home, these elements add a pervasive level of tension that works despite some of Madhouse's more generic elements. Its one flaw is its conclusion, and not in the twist itself, because there is something of a twist at the end, but in the pacing of it. Asinides draws the final birthday party sequence out to an unnecessary length, and in doing so, Madhouse's antagonists become too comical and over the top. A little restraint could have gone a long way for the climax, but even so, Madhouse features a few excellent scenes at the end, including a grisly dog death with a screw gun. Madhouse, overlooked in its prime, will probably be rightfully compared to its slasher brethren at the time. Despite its familiar qualities, though, it's a film that excels because of its off-kilter storyline and courage to get crazy. Asinides' film isn't just eerie, it's also fun too, and thankfully Arrow Video has brought this video nasty back to the party for contemporary audiences. And this is a great Blu-ray release. It's got a great scan to it. Arrow Video has done some awesome work with the video quality on this, as well as the 2 audio tracks that are included as well. There's the subtitles for people who like to put the English subtitles on. And there's a bunch of bonus features as well. A couple of new interviews that Arrowhead Video has done for this Blu-ray. And even like an alternate opening sequence with the different titles. There was a little girl included rather than Madhouse. It doesn't change the actual opening at all, but it's nice to have that extra on there. So all told, I think there's about 45 minutes to an hour of extra features on here. But really, it's the quality of the Blu-ray itself that looks really great, especially for this film. And it looks like the original elements must have been kept in pretty good shape because Arrow has done a really good job of putting this out on Blu-ray with a great image quality. There's also with my copy, and it depends, I think it's only on the first edition of the Arrow Video releases, there is a booklet included with the films of Video G Asinides. So definitely check out this Blu-ray. Pick it up from Arrow Video or wherever else you buy your Blu-rays, Diabolic, and other things like that. And definitely give this a shot because this is a really fun film that is probably not really seen much interest in the past, and it definitely deserves it, despite some of its similarities to Halloween, Happy Birthday to Me, and other slashers of the time. So check it out. Thanks for watching, and make sure that you subscribe to this because I'm going to try to do more video reviews. I keep saying that all the time, but I really am. Check out the moonsdeadworld.net. That's where I post all my written reviews, and those always go up first, so you always get the written review before the video review, if the video review ever even comes. And also, just check out our Patreon, patreon.com/themoonIsDeadWorld. You can donate, help make the site better. Help me fund everything that I've got to do, like posting and stuff like that. So check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time with a new video.